that we'll realize that if we walk in the ways of Hashem, we don't have to run after the blessings, but they will run after us.
Welcome to Prism of Torah with Rebbe Saf Aaron Prisman, engaging Divrei Torah, packed with stories and practical insights. Find us wherever you get your podcasts or at prismoftorah.org.
In Parshas Savo, the Torah promises that the brachos, the blessings, won't just come to you, but they will overtake you and they will chase you down. Of course, if we do Ratzon Hashem, if we do the will of Hashem, the question begs itself. Think about it. Who runs away from a blessing that the blessing has to chase after you? The pasuk says, "Uva'u alecha kol habrachos ha'elu vehisigucha ki tishma b'kol Hashem Elokecha," and all the blessings will come upon you and overtake you when you listen to the voice of Hashem, your God. What's going on over here? What does this word vehisigucha, which means will overtake you, how does it even make sense? I would like to share with you two ideas that I think complement each other in giving us an unbelievable combination of answering and telling us the secret behind what it means that the bracha will chase after you. The first idea I saw in my national Torah, as my friend Ravitzi Svei showed it to me, that sometimes a bracha, something that's a real blessing to our lives, but it's disguised as something bad. So we run away from it. We do everything we can to run away from it because we think this is not good for us at this point in time. We don't want this. But Hashem promises us that even those blessings that are disguised as bad and will do everything to push them away, don't worry, Hashem will make sure they will come to us. How many times have we seen in our lives something that we thought is the worst thing that can happen ended up being a blessing in disguise? This is exactly the first malach the Mainash of Torah brings down. Also, the Degel Machan Ephraim says a similar idea, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will ensure the blessing will come to you and reach you, even though you're going to try to push it away. Hence, it's going to overtake your energy and your hishtadlus to try to stop it from coming to you, and it will ensure it will come to you. This goes hand in hand with what David HaMelech says in Tehillim, Achtov v'chesed yirdefuni, that all goodness should pursue me. What does that mean? Goodness will pursue you? Of course it's going to pursue you. You want good. Why does it need to pursue you? The answer is no. Even good things that are hidden in a way that they don't look so good, I want them to pursue me. Of course, the flip side of this is also true. A lot of times things look like they're amazing and we really want them and they look like it's going to add so much blessing to our lives. But only HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows that in reality it's going to have the detrimental opposite effect. Also, too, here, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will make sure that those brachas, that even though they seem good and are bad, they will not come to you. This is hinted in many tefillas that we say. For example, in Birkas HaChodesh, we ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu, please, Maleh mishalot libenu letova, complete our requests, all our good requests for good. The words for good are redundant. Obviously, they're good because there are requests from our heart that we want into our lives. And the answer is no, it's not necessarily good. How many times have we seen that something that we thought was a blessing was actually not such a good impact in our lives? And hence, when we go in the ways of Hashem, the brachas will run after us, especially the ones that on the outside seem bad, and we're going to try to do everything to ensure they don't come to our lives. Even those will come to our lives. And now, to bring the other mahalach that complements the first, one could ask, sometimes a real obvious blessing, or at first glance seems obvious that it's a blessing, like kavod, fame, money, sometimes that is exactly what can destroy a person. So how is that a bracha? The second malach by the Modetzer Rebbe in the Sefer Imrei Bauch says that the word v'esigucha can mean overtake you, like we said until now, but it can also mean from the word hasaga, which means the grasp to understand the blessing and the capacity to hold it. And that will ensure that you are compatible with the bracha, because sometimes instead of enriching you, it instead overwhelms you and has the opposite effect. Like we have seen many times when a person suddenly becomes rich, he doesn't know what to do with all the money, and it ends up pushing him to the wrong ways. So v'yisigucha over here means that Kadosh Baruch Hu will ensure you have the correct grasp and compatibility with the bracha, which means that Kadosh Baruch Hu gives you a package deal. Not only does he gives you the blessing and the bracha, but he also gives you the tools to know how to grasp it and to use it for the best. A very good example of this is when someone teaches someone. So the teacher knows a lot more than the student, but if the teacher tells him too much in one shot, it'll overwhelm him and he won't be able to grasp anything. However, even though the teacher knows a lot more, if he knows exactly what to give him, just the right amount that will be able to attain it, that's going to make a big difference and will be extremely positive for him. So too Hashem is saying these brachas, yesigucha, you'll be able to connect to them, to grasp them, and the bracha will have a positive effect on you. Before we end with the story, going back to the first mahalach that we said, v'hisigucha, means the bracha will ensure to come to you, even though it's disguised in a way that it might not have such a positive effect on you. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will ensure it will overtake you and catch up to you. We can add to that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling you, wherever you are, the bracha will come to you. Don't try to do what a lot of people try to do. They do everything and run after becoming rich and run after what they think is a bracha, and they do everything in their powers no matter what. And even though they see there are signs from Hashem that perhaps this isn't the best thing for you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling us, no. Yes, you have to do minimum ishtadlus in your life, but to go over the top, to do everything that's in your capacity, no, don't do that. The bracha will come to where you are. You don't have to work so hard. Many times I've seen Rabbanim becoming Rabbanim not because they chased after to being a rabbi, but rather because HaKadosh Baruch Hu said that it is right for them and the bracha chased them. Same too with being rich. And that's how we should have our perception about life, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, if we do the right thing, he'll ensure the bracha will come to whoever needs to get this bracha. Before we end with the story, as we're nearing Rosh Hashana, it's very important to know how to ask for things, because Rosh Hashana is a very mesugal time. On the other hand, there's a very famous Zohar. The Zohar says, don't just ask for Hashem for things on Rosh Hashana. We're supposed to crown the King of Kings, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, on Rosh Hashana, and not just ask for our personal things. On the other hand, it's known to be a very, very mesugal time to ask for things. So how can we make the two reconcile together? I would like to suggest that if we ask it in a way that we want these blessings to get to us, like we've been talking, but in a way that will make the Jewish nation a better nation, our spirituality level better, which means we're all connected more one to another, because our core should be our spirituality, our neshamas, and all we want to do is get closer to Hashem, which is what Hashem put us in this world for, then that's not a selfish request anymore. We're not like the Zohar says, like a dog that just barks and wants his own physical pleasure, but rather we want to go to a higher level of spirituality, make the world a better place, and connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I'd like to end with an amazing story that brings all this piece that we're saying, brings it together. It was told over by Rabbi Avi Fishoff, and once a young man in kollel passed away, leaving a widow, a house full of children, and there was a 9.5-year-old son that was totally shut down after suddenly losing his father. He couldn't go into class, he lost his friends, sank into depression, social anxiety, the whole works. A leading specialist diagnosed him with ADD, ADHD, depression, etc., etc., gave an intensive plan of what he needs to do, what medications, private tutors, for limudei kodesh, for secular studies, etc., etc. But it cost a lot of money, and the family didn't have any money. So the mother went to a relative, the Rosh Yeshiva of Chibin, Rav Avram Kenechovsky, and asked him for one thing. She ran after, please cover the cost for the treatment. He listened to the whole story and then asked her, I really want to meet this boy. Can you please send him over to me? When the boy walked in, the Rosh Yeshiva didn't lecture him. He straight away sat him down on the floor, motioned for the boy to join him, gave him a candy, and asked what games he liked to play. So they end up playing tic-tac-toe for hours. No mention of schools, no mention of his father. And then he asked the mother to bring the boy back the next day and the next for weeks. The toys were always waiting for him. Finally, he told the boy, listen, I love playing with you, but you belong in yeshiva, and I have a yeshiva to run. How about you go to school tomorrow, and I am going to give you a riddle to ask your classmates. Whoever answers it can come back with his friends for a prize. The riddle was, what do you make a bracha on and put in your mouth, but do not swallow? The next morning, the boy walked in for the first time, not as the child whose father died, but as the child with a riddle from the Rosh Yeshiva of Chibin. The other boys crowded around him. He came back for the prize, then for another riddle, another. The boys began to look up to him. It totally was a game changer. His confidence returned. He played at recess with his friends again. He re-entered his learning within a few months. The whole idea of therapy, tutors, medication vanished. Everything just vanished. I think this one story is unbelievable because it shows the two sides of the coins of what we discussed. On the one hand, we see the mother ran after a certain bracha. She thought the blessing for her was to get money to help for the treatment. But at the end of the day, what chased after her was the blessing that Hashem knew was best for that situation, and that is to have this Rosh Yeshiva play with him and build up his confidence in a very special way. From the Rosh Yeshiva's perspective, he had the idea of a sigucha, that he was able to grasp the tools he has, the blessings he had, and he was able to get this child out of his misery in a very creative way, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave him the ability to do such a thing. Yeh Ratzon that we realize that if we walk in the ways of Hashem, we don't have to run after the blessings, but they will run after us. Have a good Shabbos.
This concludes another episode of the Prism of Torah. Thank you for tuning in today. We hope you enjoyed it and learned something valuable. If you did, please subscribe to the podcast and give a 5-star rating. You can also find this podcast wherever you get your podcasts or our own website, prismoftorah.com, where we have a full archive of all our past episodes. We would like to thank Yona Vefa for the recording equipment and Eli Podcast Productions for handling all our post-podcast productions. Join us next week for another enlightening conversation on the Prism of Torah.